You hear recession and think panic. The wealthy hear it and think sale. Assets go on discount, cash flow gets cheaper, and patience pays more. Two people earning $75,000 can walk out of the same downturn with opposite outcomes. One broke, one building passive income, because one prepared for volatility and the other didn't. In this video, I'll show you exactly how recessions transfer wealth, the split that protects your paycheck, and the rules that turn a $75,000 salary into $500 to $2,000 per month in passive income in 12 to 24 months. There's a simple step that makes the whole thing automatic. Let's set the stakes. If you do this wrong, a downturn forces you to sell good assets at bad prices. That locks in losses, kills momentum, and makes you miss the recovery. If you do it right, recessions become inventory, stocks, REITs, and businesses selling below intrinsic value, so the same dollars buy more future cash flow. This isn't about courage, it's about structure. Liquidity, rules, and a simple asset mix turn volatility into your advantage. The average person treats cash as lazy. Wealthy operators treat cash like oxygen. It keeps you alive long enough to win. Here's what most people miss. Recessions don't just move prices, they move ownership. People without liquidity have to sell to people with liquidity. That's the transfer. And it's amplified by two human habits: loss aversion and lifestyle creep. Loss aversion pushes you to hit the eject button right near the bottom. Lifestyle creep means you were already stretched, so one surprise bill turns you into a forced seller. The fix is boring and powerful. Create margin on purpose so drawdowns don't control your behavior. What's the better model? A salary split that pre-wires survival and investing. Think 55 to 60% living, 20 to 25% investing, and 15 to 25% to liquidity and high-interest debt rules. Investing isn't what's left, it's first in line. Liquidity isn't dead money, it's the option to wait. Pair that split with a $10,000 cushion target in high-yield savings. Why $10,000? Because at that level, most surprise expenses become manageable, and you stop rating investments when headlines get loud. That single milestone flips you from reactive to proactive. Now, what do you actually buy during the storm? Keep it simple. One broad market index fund for long-term growth, one income ETF with a sane, historically normal yield so you feel cash flow arriving. Add a diversified REIT fund for real estate income you can hold. Fees low, coverage healthy, no chasing double-digit yields that scream fragile. Turn on dividend reinvestment so distributions quietly buy more shares while you work and sleep. Let me show you exactly how to wire this. On payday, automate 3 transfers. 10% to emergency until you cross $10,000, 10 to 15% to the brokerage split between your index and income ETF, and if you've got any revolving debt at painful rates, a dedicated payoff lane inside the liquidity slice. You don't wait to feel motivated. You remove motivation from the equation. Money moves before you see it. Now, here's where most people mess up during recessions. They go all in or all out. All in leaves you cashless. All out leaves you assetless. You need both. Cash to avoid forced selling, and steady buys to raise share count when prices are lower. Write 2 rules and tape them to your notes. Rule 1. Drawdown add-ons. If the broad market is down 15% from its recent high and your income is stable, increase auto buys by $150 for 3 paychecks. At down 25%, bump by $250 for 3 paychecks. Then taper. Rule 2. Payout discipline. Only add to income ETFs and REITs when yield sits inside its normal range and coverage looks healthy. That keeps you from chasing mirages. Why does this work? Because you separate decision-making from emotions. The rules fire when prices are down, not when your gut feels brave. Your $10,000 cushion funds confidence. Your salary split funds consistency. Your asset mix funds future cash flow. Together, they turn price drops into permanent share count upgrades. When markets recover, and historically they do, your yield on cost improves, your distributions rise, and your stress falls. Quick micro story. A viewer at $75,000 wrote one line: "If down 20% and job stable, double contributions for 3 cycles." He could do it because he had the cushion. 12 months later, his dividend income was higher without a raise, simply because he bought more shares when they were cheaper. Same salary, different rules. If you remember nothing else, remember this: cash buys time, rules buy shares, and shares buy freedom. Build the cushion, automate the buys, and let recessions transfer wealth toward you, not away from you.
Let's make it real. 2 people, same city, same $75,000 salary, same taxes. The gap isn't income, it's structure. Month 1, both clear about $4,800 after tax. Person 1, let's call him B, signs a $1,950 lease because, well, I earned it. He finances a $30,000 car, about $520 a month, adds $140 for insurance, tosses in streaming bundles and takeout, and carries a $1,000 credit card balance because it evens out. Investing? When he remembers. Emergency fund? On the list. Person 2, A, runs the split. Rent near $1,400 by house sharing, drives a paid-off used car, $120 insurance, and caps variable spending with a weekly number. Then the automations hit on payday. 10% to emergency until $10,000, 10 to 15% to a broad index plus income ETF. Labels on the accounts read "Do Not Touch" and "Rules Only." It's not glamorous. It's effective. By month 3, B's checking swings from $2,000 the day after payday to $200 by the end of week 1. A surprise tire goes on a 24% APR card. He promises to fix it next month, but next month already has plans. Meanwhile, A's emergency crosses $3,500. Brokerage is growing, and small dividends trickle in. $20 here, $35 there, reinvested automatically. Her brain is calmer because cash solves little fires, and rules handle buying. 6 months in, B has upgraded his phone for work and booked a weekend deal. He trims his 401k to free up cash. He's juggling. A crosses $6,000 in emergency and keeps buying the same 2 funds on schedule. She's not timing anything, just sticking to the rules. That $10,000 milestone is visible now, and the difference is psychological. She negotiates from options, not fear. Year 2, rents pop. B's renewal jumps to $2,075. He can't afford to move, so he signs. He's now reacting to bills, not directing dollars. A, with a cushion and 3 months of expenses behind it, can walk. She finds a similar place at $1,500, or negotiates a credit for minor repairs, pockets the spread, and bumps her brokerage auto buys by $150 the day HR confirms her raise. Her monthly distributions creep into the $80 to $120 range. Money shows up without new effort. Now here's where most people mess up. B checks his tiny brokerage position, sees red, and sells because it hurts. That's loss aversion. He locks in a loss, then misses the rebound. A wrote down the drawdown rules earlier. Down 15%? Temporary. Add $150 for 3 cycles. Down 25%? Make it $250. She can do it because the $10,000 cushion exists. Liquidity turns volatility
into inventory. Let's say both enter a downturn in year 3. B's hours get cut at his job, so he sells what little he owns to make minimums. Forced seller. He pauses retirement for a few months, then misses the strongest leg of the recovery. Stress climbs, sleep drops. Meanwhile, A's income dips a bit, but emergency plus cushion covers operations. She doesn't touch investments. Her rules fire, so contributions increase temporarily. She adds a small REIT fund slice for income diversification. Still rules-based, still modest. 12 months later, her share count is permanently higher. Her yield on cost is better, and distributions tick up. Now, raise season shows the split clearly. Both get a $5,000 bump in salary. B upgrades to a $2,350 loft and signs a 19.99% furniture plan. It feels great for 90 days. Then it's just normal. A traps the bump for 12 months. Auto buys rise by $400 next paycheck. That's $4,800 more assets this year, roughly $150 more annual cash flow at a 3% blended yield plus growth. Next year, she can ease lifestyle or keep compounding. Options. The subtle killer in B's world is sequence. He waits to finish emergency before investing, then pauses investing when life gets noisy, then restarts after headlines are calm. Always late, always small. A funds emergency at 10% while investing 10 to 15%, hits $10,000, and then increases investing toward 20 to 25% while keeping a 2 to 3% opportunity drip alive. That drip is why she never has to be all in or all out. She's always a buyer by rule. Micro story. 2 coworkers, same downturn, same salary. One had $700 in checking and a maxed card. Sold at the bottom, stopped buying, missed the rebound. The other had a $10,000 cushion and a written plan. Increased buys for 3 cycles, then normalized. A year later, one's share count shrank, the other's grew. Same income, different system. The thing to remember is simple. B spends first and hopes to invest later. A invests first and lets the rest fit. B relies on willpower. A relies on automation. B needs the market to behave. A is prepared when it doesn't. That's why 2 $75,000 salaries can end up miles. Now let's turn structure into checks that show up without you clocking extra hours. We're building an asset ladder, simple levels that each have a job, feed the next, and sit on top of your $10,000 cushion so you never have to sell great assets to fix short-term problems. Why build a ladder? Because predictable cash flow keeps you calm. When distributions and interest cover a slice of your bills, you stop negotiating from fear. Liquidity gives you patience. Patience lets you buy cash flows on sale. That's how the transfer flips in your favor. Without a ladder, you're scattered, tempted by yield traps, and one surprise away from dumping shares. With it, you're methodical, consistent, and always positioned to buy when prices are better. Here's the ladder. 4 levels, repeatable and boring on purpose. Level 1 is cash, emergency, and opportunity. Emergency is 3 to 6 months of expenses in a high-yield savings account, untouchable for nice-to-haves. The first milestone is still the $10,000 cushion. Opportunity is separate, 1 to 3 months of expenses, also liquid. Think high-yield savings or short-term treasuries. You deploy by written rules when assets go on sale. Keep these at a different bank from your checking and label them. Emergency, do not touch. Opportunity, rules only. That small friction protects your patience. Level 2 is broad growth plus income. one low-cost total market or S&P 500 index fund for long-term growth, paired with one income ETF that pays monthly or quarterly with a sane, historically normal yield. The index compounds quietly. The income ETF makes cash flow tangible, so you stay engaged. Expense ratios low, strategy understandable, distributions covered by real cash flow. If a double-digit yield looks too generous, assume risk until proven otherwise. Turn on dividend reinvestment, so payouts buy more shares on autopilot. Level 3 is real estate exposure you can actually hold through a recession. Start with a diversified REIT fund, transparent, liquid, and built to distribute rent-backed cash flows. You're buying access to property income without surprise roofs or furnaces. If you ever go hands-on later, fine, but only after emergency is funded and reserves are real. Durability beats drama here. Level 4 is a small, controllable side income. One skill, one offer, one platform. Think $200 to $500 per month you route straight into levels 2 and 3. It's not about building an empire. It's about creating a lever you can push during drawdowns so you buy more shares without touching lifestyle. How do you allocate this on a $75,000 salary? Use the split you already installed. 55 to 60% living, 20 to 25% investing, 15 to 25% to liquidity and high-interest debt rules. Inside that, start with 10% of take-home into emergency until you cross $10,000, while investing 10 to 15% into level 2. Split something like 70% index, 30% income ETF. After you hit $10,000 and emergency grows toward 3 to 6 months, redirect most of that 10% into investing, but keep a 2 to 3% drip into opportunity. That drip is your offense when the sale shows up. Let me make the mix concrete. Suppose you can invest $1,200 per month after your cushion is set. Allocate $840 to level 2, roughly $590 to index, $250 to the income ETF, and $360 to level 2-3 via a diversified REIT fund. At a blended yield around 3 to 3.5% on the invested portion, you're looking at roughly $430 to $500 a year in distributions out of the gate, reinvested automatically into more shares. Add the raise rule, trap new dollars for 12 months, and those distributions stair-step higher each year without a second job. Now here's where most people mess up. They get fully invested and skip level 1. That feels efficient in bull markets and turns brutal in bear markets. No cash means forced sales, which shut compounding down right before the rebound. Or they chase yield, buying funds that juice payouts with leverage or return of capital, then watch distributions get cut when markets wobble. The fix is discipline. Keep level 1 funded. Only add to income products when yield sits inside the normal range and coverage is healthy, and keep fees low. Rules make the latter anti-fragile. 2 you already wrote still apply. Drawdown add-ons. Down 15% and income stable? Increase auto buys by $150 for 3 paychecks. Down 25%? Make it $250. Then taper. Payout discipline. Only add to income ETFs and REITs when yield is normal and coverage looks solid. Add one more. Level sequencing. You never raid emergency for lifestyle. You never deploy opportunity outside your rules. And you never pause investing entirely. You resize temporarily, then resume. Here's the takeaway. The same $75,000 salary splits 2 ways. Automate the builder's split, keep a $10,000 emergency fund, and buy cash-flowing assets by rule, and volatility starts paying you instead of scaring you. That's it. This is the Money Channel. Subscribe for more easy investing explainers. And let us know in the comments what else you want to know about.